Hi, I'm going to show you how to use the Firefox Developer Console to troubleshoot AJAX requests or JavaScript requests in, for example, the WordPress media uploader, as well as the EWWW Image Optimizer in relation to the bulk optimize. And really, you could use this in any plugin where they're using AJAX requests, and this will help you see what's going on kind of under the hood. So first off, a normal, you upload an image and you hope that it works, and in this case it does, but sometimes you get the dreaded HTTP error up here and you go, what does that mean? Well, let's see how to figure that out. So to get to the developer console, you can either right click anywhere in the page, just about anywhere in the page, and hit inspect element. The shortcut key for that is Control-Shift-I, is an igloo, and that brings up the inspector. The tab we want is the console tab, and one thing you need to turn on first before you see any AJAX requests is on the net button here, make sure XHR is selected. Those are, I believe, XML HTTP requests. Is what that stands for. And so that turns on the ability to see stuff like this. If we turn that off, like that, we see it disappears. Or if you turn off the whole net button, it's gone. So we want all these checked. And that's the only change you should have to make by default. And we can see that there's some requests happening here, so let's take a look at those. Those are usually from the WordPress Heartbeat API. And if we hit the post, this is what's being sent to the server in the request. And we can see the nonce, and here, of course, the action is the heartbeat. So that's what we thought it was. And it's a 60-second interval usually. And we can see the response over here. It's a JSON response that contains the results of the auth check, so it's checking to make sure that your session hasn't expired, and that's true, so we're still logged in. And it checks the server time to make sure that we're not being given like stale requests or something like that in a timing attack. Okay, so we've seen a sample request and what it looks like, what it returns. Let's look at an upload request. So let's upload another image here while we've got it open. And we can see that there's two upload requests here. So the first one is the actual image. And if you look at the post, you'll see the file name and some other data, and then you see the actual JPEG data right here, and it's been truncated, of course, so it doesn't load the whole thing, and you wouldn't want to look at the whole thing anyway. And the response to that is that. What in the world is that? Well, on the post request, it said post ID 0 because it doesn't know what the ID is going to be. So the response is the actual post ID. And that is used on the next request right here. In the post request, right there, the attachment ID, it sends that same number. Here's the response, and here's the next request using that ID, and it's going to fetch this thumbnail, pretty much this whole block right here, where it's got the thumbnail, the name, and the edit link. And when we click on response, we see that indeed there is what it actually sent back, the pinky nail with the thumbnail image as the source, and so on. So that's what a normal request looks like. If you are seeing, like a 503 error, something like that, then you got to go check in your actual server logs. It's not going to show anything here. But if you turn on the debug option in your WP config file, sometimes it will start displaying errors here instead of just saying, 500 error over here on the status code. A 200 error, 200 okay, that means everything's okay. Everything's great, grand, wonderful. So let's see what this looks like on the bulk optimize page. And let's go ahead and start the scan. And so we can see, well, it looks like it's doing something. What's it doing? Well, it's waiting on this AJAX request. And it'll take about 15 to 20 seconds before it stops and starts the next batch. Or it might be finished by then. We'll find out. And there it finished, about 22 seconds. And it did, what, about 5,000 images in that round. And so if we expand that, we can look at the post request. Nothing too exciting, just the action is bulk scan, which that's what it's doing. And the response here is JSON, similar to the WordPress uploader. If we look at it, this is what it actually looks like in the JSON format. But basically it gives, it tells us what stage it's in, 1 or 2, how many images are left, and it loads that spinner image. Hopefully there's no notice here. If there is, it might be something like low memory, which isn't a huge deal. It just means it runs a little slower. And whether or not a bad attachment was detected. Now sometimes you'll see in the bulk scanner here, you might get a 500 error when it hits a bad attachment, and then it will reattempt the scan, and the very next request will contain, I don't have an example because I don't have any more bad attachments, but this would show true, and then you'd see an alert up here that says, hey, we detected a bad attachment, we're retrying, and it would continue on. Now if you have like 50 bad attachments, that's going to completely kill the bulk optimizer because it only tries 10 times if they're 50 in a row. So that's kind of the trick there. And so if you see errors over here or errors in here, that's what we're looking for when we tell you to check the developer console for troubleshooting bulk optimized stuff, or any AJAX errors for that matter. So I hope that was helpful, and have a fabulous day.